Market, common mark.
I'm doing a film about my nightmares as I'm dreaming them. In order for the movie to continue, it was dependent on me having more nightmares. Well, fortunately, I did.
I'm a little frightened by what Wes may have tapped into. I frankly felt that it was over when we did the final nightmare.
In a town where movies go over schedule and directors go over budget, something far more evil is out of control.
The world of horror films suffered its own terror today as two of Hollywood's best-known special effects technicians were found dead.
Part of the theme of the movie is becoming like part of the making of the movie.
Can you come with me in my dreams?
I think that only happens in the movies.
What happens when the story dies? The evil is set free. Now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle. That's what the nightmares are telling me, and that's what I'm writing.
This is still a script we're talking about, right, Wes?
We've decided to cross over out of films into our reality. The only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Oh, my God.
The bad man's getting awful close.
You're gonna have to make a choice.
What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
Cut the effect!
Isn't there somebody who can stop him?
That person's you.
Who I mean?
It was you that gave Nancy her strength.
Nancy.
Where's my son?
Hey YouTubers, Hankster here, and welcome back to our classic movie review. And we're going back to, of course, the Nightmare on Elm Street 30th anniversary series we're doing. We'll be going back to Ghostbusters sooner or later, at least before Halloween later this week. But we're going to go in, we're now going fully into the 90s with Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now, of course, this movie it was released 3 years after Final Nightmare, or Freddy's Dead. And it was basically, also, of course, it was 10 years after the release of the original movie. So this was basically sort of a 10-year honoring of the original movie, and it went all out for this particular one, not just with the special effects, but also another few returns. The movie, of course, features the return of Heather Langenkamp, John Saxon, Robert Englund, and really thrown in the mix, they threw in Wes Craven himself. Yes, Wes Craven himself is in the movie, playing himself. Pretty much all the actors in this movie played themselves. They weren't reprising their roles, well, except for Robert Englund. Of course, he played Freddy Krueger. But Heather played Heather, not Nancy, and John Saxon played John Saxon. Well, except for a brief moment near the end of the movie, but we'll get to that later on. Robert Englund, of course, played himself, along with a new Freddy Krueger, and we'll explain that later as well. Now, of course, this takes place probably roughly around 10 years after the release of the original movie, and Heather has moved on in her life. She has, of course, gotten married and has her own kid, and has had a semi-successful acting career. So obviously, this is, of course, a few years after her stint on the ABC series Just the 10 of Us. Not too bad of an acting career at that point, until she started having weird dreams, much like her character Nancy had in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. This was coinciding with pretty rough earthquakes, being that she lives in California. There's earthquakes there all the time, and she started seeing strange things within the earthquakes. This mysterious cracks on a wall, looked like Freddy Krueger was there, and all that. Of course, she finds out that Wes Craven has decided to go back to doing Nightmare on Elm Street movies, possibly because something to do that he is able to have nightmares again, and tying him into Freddy Krueger. So he must get back to doing these movies for some macabre reason. Of course, Heather's not too keen on coming back, being that, obviously her character was killed off in the third movie. But her husband is all on board, of course, being he himself is a special effects maker, so he was put on to do the special effects work for this new movie. Including, of course, Freddy's new glove, or you want to call it his claw appendage this time around. It's not his traditional glove, but some sort of merging of claws and bone into what's remaining of his flesh coming out of his arm there. So it's pretty freaky. It's almost like Wolverine, except it's permanently out all the time. Of course, everything seemed to be doing all right until one night when he was heading home to meet up with Heather. Her husband was killed on the road in a tragic car accident. And, of course, she notices that the telltale signs that this might have been involved, Freddy Krueger might have been involved, even though this is supposed to be the real world and Freddy Krueger only lives in the movie world. Of course, she's also seeing strange things happening involving her little boy. Seems like he seems to stare at the television when the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie is on, and when she turns it off, he starts screaming his head off like he's some sort of autistic child or something. I just gotta put this off here. This is one of the major examples of not having children in the movie. This is this kid's, I don't know. Compared to the little boy that was used in Dream Child, this kid kind of falls through He's kind of, almost autistic in a sense. But of course, Nancy starts to realize that maybe Freddy Krueger is a real being, and that she finds out that Wes Craven created the movie series to keep him in check, to keep him in the movie world, so that he will not wreak havoc in the real world. Real as in R-E-A-L, not the R-E-E-L world. But that's basically what he's starting to do. He, of course, lashes out against other members of her husband's special effects crew, just like a dream that she had at the beginning of the movie. She had almost like a premonition of who was going to get killed in the movie. But it seems like somehow it's being targeted to her and her little boy. And it kind of gives you that sense that maybe they're kind of merging the first and fifth Nightmare movies, that Freddy Krueger needs the little boy to get back into the real world somehow. It's kind of like what happened with the Dream Child movie. Now, of course, Freddy Krueger looks a lot more different, not just with his new version of the glove, but he's also more demonic looking, being that he's supposed to be more like a sort of a dream demon than a former child molester. And he's also not, even though he's still wearing his trademark red and green red green sweater and his hat and all, he's also sporting some sort of robe or trench coat type outfit for this particular jaunt. So now, of course, briefly we do see Robert Englund dressed up as Freddy, the original Freddy Krueger, in sort of an interview scene where Heather's being interviewed, and of course they throw a surprise at her, and Robert's there and dressed up as Freddy. Now, of course, we do see him as Robert Englund as well. Of course, as the movie continues to progress, she, of course, finds out that Freddy is targeting her child, as I said, and using him as Freddy as a conduit to the world, and it's up to her and her child to keep Freddy in the movie world, so to speak. Even though it has to take efforts in the real world, in the real dream world, to stop him. It might even take aims at a classic child story to stop Freddy Krueger in his tracks. Now, this was sort of an interesting twist on the Nightmare on Elm Street series. This is, of course, we set in the actual world, the real world, the movie outside, the world outside of the movies, as opposed to the world of Springwood, where Freddy and all are in, and so basically that was the reason why you can see Wes Craven and Robert Englund and all that as themselves, along with just Freddy Krueger and Nancy and all. But it was not too bad of a story. I mean, as I said, I'm not too much of a fan of putting kids in horror movies, or any movie that matter when they're kind of more in the lead. I mean, it kind of helped the plot, but could have just had somebody, a little bit of a better actor. This was sort of a bridge between the original Nightmare on Elm Street movies and what's coming out now, or what had come out now up to this point. Having connections to the original movies, but of course, kind of going off in a new direction. Even though they, as far as I know, they're not going to do anything like this again in the near future. But it was a pretty good concept, and it was a good way of honoring the 10-year anniversary of the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Of course, this was back in 1994, and so, here it is, 2014, and it's 30 years now. Obviously, it was a good idea at the time. Of course, sadly, Freddy. Of course, we won't see hide or hair of Freddy for almost a decade later, until something quite interesting happens when New Line Cinema gets a hold of none other than the Friday the 13th series, and decides to see what would happen if Freddy and Jason actually meet. And that, of course, will be the next movie coming up in review, Freddy versus Jason. And we'll be getting to that in our next Nightmare on Elm Street review. Hope you enjoyed this review, and stay tuned here for more reviews and whatnot here on the Multiverse. See ya.